Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Monarch number 512 TP. This is a thumb piece lever trim for their 25 series device. And that's what it looks like. Weighs about 5 pounds, at least it does with all of its accoutrement. Cylinder nut, cylinder collars, tool to fasten the nut, bolts, whatnot. Nice heavy trim. Does certainly give you the impression that it's of very durable, heavy-duty quality, because it is heavy. Now the 512 is the 512 TP, I should say, is a thumb piece TP trim. That's going to include the preparation for a cylinder that will act as a classroom function, meaning you can leave the thumb piece in the unlocked position or the locked position, depending on how you insert the cylinder. There is a link below this video to the installation instructions, and they are of course included, and they will work on these different devices. The 512 thumb piece, the TPBE, the BE that you see referred to right there just means blank escutcheon. There's no cylinder on that sort of lock. Then there's the NL, which means that it's a night latch, meaning that it is always locked, meaning you need a key every time to retract the latch to enter. When you remove the key, it's locked again. And in fact, you can actually set up a TP to operate that way as well. So I'm really not quite sure if the NL and the TP are actually different, since the TP can operate in that fashion. A review for another time. Then you've got the 512 DT, which would be a dummy trim, meaning that if you had a pair of doors, one will get the TP, the other will get the DT, dummy trim, because you don't need or want, let's say, active access on both doors. You could dog the device open and then the DT will operate as a pull, no problem with that. But there'd be no cylinder preparation because you probably don't need cylinder control over both of the doors in a pair, would be the point of that. The template gives you the important dimensional properties of where and what holes to drill. I've drilled function holes for exit devices countless times, and the only thing that is required is just an adherence to measuring twice and cutting once. That center line is important because that center line, that vertical center line, is defined on the requirements of the device, the requirements of handicap compliance. The vertical center line is a bit more, the backside is a bit more crucial naturally, because that will coordinate the distance from the edge of the door, or whatever you're measuring from or referencing from, and incorporating the stop and what the strike and what that requires. Function holes in terms of where you'll need to drill to account for your mounting points through the door, what you'll need for the lift bar mechanism, and what you'll need for the cylinder prep is all detailed there as well. Looks like to me forgive me. There is no hole prep required for this, and that's where the study in the template comes in. Your cylinder does not go into the door at all. It will just flush off to the inside of the trim that's here. So there would only be this preparation, and then your 5 mounting points. Okay, a little reality check on the template usually sorts everything out for you, or at least it does for me. Now this 512 can be used on the R device, the rim device. It can be used on the V, surface vertical rod, can be used on the C, concealed vertical rod, and the M device as well for the mortise device. And that's nice. You've got one trim that'll work across those different devices. Certainly makes inventory management a little bit easier. On the back side of the installation instructions, this lift bar or lift finger, they're calling it lift block finger. You'll need to trim that most likely to account for what you're installing it onto. And that table is down below to show you where you'll trim it to, depending on what device you're using here, A through D. Now, down there installing the cylinder, if you are installing it as a classroom, meaning you can come to the door in the morning, unlock the trim, take your key out, You conduct business during the day, and then when you leave at night, reverse that procedure and pull the key out. Now you're locked. You leave that. You will have to rotate that cylinder 180 degree opposite of where it's normally installed, as shown there. If you're using it as an NL, oh, forgive me. Yeah, that's where the confusion came in. The NL trim is inherently different, but you don't reverse the cam at all, is what you do. Okay, so the TP and the TP-NL are different trims on the inside, per the installation instructions. The length of the cylinder is not defined. Forgive me, it is. If you're anywhere from 1 1/16, 1 1/8 to 1 1/4, you're going to use the larger of the two blocking rings. And if you've got an 1 3/8 to 1 1/2 cylinder, like you might on an interchangeable core cylinder, you're going to use both of them together. So these cylinder rings are going to allow you to contend with the cylinder that you've got. Obviously, if you've got a shorter cylinder, you're probably going to need a shorter collar, which you would have to provide separately. Like if you were dealing with a 15/16 of an inch length cylinder, this might prove simply too long to get it installed. Now, speaking of the cylinder, you'll get the cylinder nut that's required for your mortise cylinder. So you'll insert that cylinder through here, and those two little teats that you see at either end, those are going to go into the grooves that are prepared in the sides at the 3 and 9 o'clock position on a mortise cylinder, and that helps prevent it from rotating. That will slide in. You've got the nut to go in, thread to the back of it, but it's a little hard to get that nut threaded on. So what Falcon does, wait for it, is they supply you with a tool. So when you get that thread, that nut started onto the thread, you'll come with the tuning fork tool and get that on there and be able to rotate it so you can get it nice and secure onto the back of the trim. Obviously, you're then going to get the 4 machine bolts that you'll need to go through the head of the device. Here, 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 and here. You'll then need the through bolt with the finish washer that will go down through the door on the opposite side into the bottom of the pole handle. Okay. Stainless steel is what we're looking at. Finish. Forgive me, that's satin chrome, not stainless. 26D is what this finish is. And obviously available in all of the other finishes that this material is made in. And really this rocker bar that's here allows the control, and that's what happens when the cam comes and moves that back and forth. As you rotate it, you can affect that change, bring your key back to vertical, and then pull it out. Very appropriate for certain circumstances, that classroom type function, and inappropriate for others. You may never want to be able to leave the exterior door of a school in an unlocked position. However, if you were a body shop and you wanted clients to enter through the service door, you'll want to unlock that during the day, provided that this trim will meet the requirements of your handicap compliance, things of that nature. So do keep that in mind as well. Finally, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Monarch, or called Falcon now, Falcon Monarch, exit device, trim, all the other pieces that we sell, a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. I do like the Falcon, formerly called Monarch devices. A confluence of good value, a confluence of good quality build, a confluence of bang for the buck, so to speak. You're not going to spend as much money as you will on other Allegiant-owned exit devices, and you're going to get something quite durable. And I have had clients call me with these devices successfully installed for 2 decades without trouble. The real winning scenario with these Falcon devices is that the technical support people at Allegiant are superb. They're absolutely friendly, superior in product knowledge, answer the question happily, correctly, accurately, and they do so every single time. And that's the reason why, in my opinion, you want to buy into whether you've got a single door or you've got a Big Ten university, I mean, you've got literally hundreds or more doors. You need to be able to rely on technical support, the availability of parts, the availability of documentation, and Allegion, meaning Von Duprin and, at least currently, and Falcon, really know how to do that fantastically so. So I appreciate their help constantly. If you have any questions on the Falcon or Monarch 512 TP trim for their 25 series device, or any other Monarch, Falcon, Allegion product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.